Before we get started, we need to get a few pieces of information off the printer. We are going to go to the settings screen, and first place we're going to go is System, Version Checking. Firmware version is 1.1.5.5, so that is one of the versions that I have tested this on. Back out of there, go to Network, write down your IP address. Mine's 192.168.1.239. Next, we're going to go to General, and we're going to scroll down to root account. And so we will click the toggle, click the checkbox. Now it's going to make us wait 30 seconds before it lets us hit OK so we can see the password. Hit OK. Tells us the account name is root and the password is Creality_2024 with Creality all in lowercase. If you hit OK, it brings you back to this screen, which tells you all the information you need to know. So that's everything we need to get off the printer. We can go on to the next step, which is setting up MobaXterm, or the SSH terminal. In this video, we're going to download, install, and set up MobaXterm so we can connect to the K2 Plus through SSH. SSH gives us access to the printer's command line. We'll use it to run the K2-Improvements installer and perform several setup and maintenance steps later in this series. Before continuing, make sure you have your printer's IP address, the account name, and the password from the previous video. If you haven't already downloaded MobaXterm, open a browser, search for MobaXterm. When you open the page, go to the download page, and you can choose the Home Edition, which is free, and click Download Now. That'll open this page, and I use the Installer Edition. When you click on that, it will open this up, save it wherever you want to save it. This is showing that it downloaded. Go to the folder, extract all, and double click on the MSI. Just go through the steps and click install, and it will install. Once it's installed, open it up. This is your start screen. We're going to go up to the top corner here and click on session. In this menu, we are going to click on SSH. We are now going to type in the IP address from your printer. Mine's 192.168.1.239. For username, type in root and hit OK. Now it's asking for the password. The password on my printer was Creality_2024. And remember, Creality was all lowercase. Now it's not going to show you what you are typing. You have to be careful and make sure you type it correctly. It will then bring up this dialog box asking you if you want to save the password. I say yes. That way I don't have to type it in every time it requires it. When you see root at K2 Plus and then 20DE will be your personal printer's designation, that means we are logged in and you are now on the printer's command line. Now that we've logged in for the first time, if we close this session, say yes. The session is saved here as a recent session. So now we can just click on this, and it automatically logs us in and brings us to the printer command line. MobaXterm is now installed and the printer session is saved. In the next video, we're going to use this connection to begin wiping the printer, so we start out with a clean slate. We are now going to wipe the printer memory. Doing the wipe will put the printer back at factory defaults. Anything you want to save off the printer, any custom configurations, save meshes, installed modifications, logs, uploaded files, you'll want to make sure to back those up before you start this procedure. We're back on the SSH terminal, MobaXterm. It's been logged out. Press R to restart the session. And now we're logged back in. So in the repository, there is the quick start guide. Come down to Creality standard factory reset. You can copy it from the little buttons over here. It says copied. Now we'll go back to MobaXterm and we will paste that in and press enter. It'll say okay, and now we wait. The printer will reset everything and power down and come back up with the setup screen. Now that the printer's back up on the setup screen, we can continue with the initial setup and self-check video. Now that we have the printer reset to factory default, we're going to go through the initial setup screens and let the printer perform its self-check. Before you proceed, if you've had the front mount cartographer installed in the printer, make sure you're removing the y-axis spacers. And also leave the front door open when it's doing its homing procedure, or the front mount cartographer will hit it. Going through the setup screen, we're going to pick our language. We've removed the screws. Our area is clear. Privacy policy. Choose our wireless network. Now we're going to enter the password. Note your IP address in case it has changed. Set your time zone. If the QR code doesn't come up, switch to China's mainland, let it refresh, and then go back to international. It's not necessary to log into Creality Cloud. If you want to log into your account through the Creality app, go to the Creality Cloud app, go to Workbench. In the upper right, you have the little plus sign, scanning code to add devices. Come up to your QR code, it will log you in, and hit done. We are now logged into the printer. Go to the next screen. We are going to skip the update, and now we're going to let the printer start its self-check. Now that the self-check is complete, we're going to skip the update again. We're going to go to Settings, System, and we're going to turn off the update reminder. We are now ready to install the K2 Improvements. We are now going to return to MobaXterm. My session's logged out. Click on it, hit R, and after you've done a wipe, you have to accept the new server host key and carry on connecting. And now we're logged in. If you've shut down MobaXterm, when you reopen it, click your recent sessions down here with your printer IP address. It will ask you the same thing to accept the new host key. Click on it and you'll be logged in. We're now going to go to the repository, and down here we have the command to start doing the Bootstrap, which will start moving files over to the printer. We're going to copy that in here and press enter. The first thing it does is it starts moving over the files it needs to start installing Entware. After Entware is installed, it will then move over the repository onto the printer. Entware is finished installing, and it has also cloned the repository over onto the printer. Now it's asking if we want to enter the menu system. Press Y and then press enter. Menu system is now open and ready to go through and start installing. In this video, we are going to do a quick walkthrough to familiarize ourselves with the menu system. We're going to go back to MobaXterm, click on Recent Sessions. That logs us into the command line. There is a link you can copy in the repository, or you can type in cd/K2-Improvements and then type in shmenu.sh. We are now in the menus. The top part of the menu is the overall status of the machine. Right now we don't have either path installed. We pulled the main branch of the repository, and the firmware in the printer is 1.1.5.5. Option 1 is status and diagnostics. This gives us the overall status of what's installed on the machine. Right now, there's no core components other than skip setup. Entware and Better Root were installed with Bootstrap. So you can come back here at any time and see what you have installed. Press enter to return back to the main menu. Option 2 is our install paths. Option 1 is a stock probe No-Cartographer setup. Option 2 is to install the cartographer. In a menu, 0 for back. 3 is cartographer tools. Number 1 and number 2 are for flashing the cartographer. Number 1 is for preferred. It can auto detect the hardware that you have installed, whether it's a V3 or V4. DFU is if the normal flash doesn't work. DFU will let you recover to the current firmware. It's a little more involved as you have to short out a couple of pads on the cartographer itself to put it in DFU mode. Option 3 lets you select what mount and offsets you're using. 4 and 5 are more information only options. 0 for back. Option 4 is optional extras. So you have the R3 embed if you have that installed on your printer, Camp Adaptive Purge, Axis Twist Compensation, and Plate Aware Save Meshes. Security Secure Auth if you want higher security on your SSH connection, you can use that, and there's a full walkthrough for it. I put the R3 embed in here because I have that installed on both my printers. It puts in the thermistor settings into printer.config. It also sets the active thermistor and remarks out the stock thermistor. Axis Twist Compensation was included from the upstream fork. I've made sure it installs, but I have never set that up. The No-Cartographer install by default saves meshes as bed temperature, chamber temperature. When you install Plate Aware Save Meshes, it will add in what type of plate you have installed to that. That information is passed from the slicer, and depending on what printer profile you choose, it will pass the plate or not. If it doesn't, it will go back to the default way of naming the meshes. It will also search for a mesh based on which printer profile you have selected. Back out of here. Number 5 is maintenance and recovery. Core component installer. You can install each of the core components separately if you'd like. This is the order they should be installed in. Factory reset and cleanup tools. You can run a Creality factory reset only, wipe sock all, or run the improved cleanup, which deletes some other files and folders that the Creality factory reset leaves behind. 0 for back. And then number 6, update installer. That will update your printer with any updates to the repository. Now we'll exit out of here, and we are back at the command line. We are now ready to install the stock probe No-Cartographer option. We're in MobaXterm. We're going to click on the recent sessions to get to the menus. Type in cd/K2-Improvements. Then type in shmenu.sh. We are going to go to option 2, installer change setup, and we are going to choose option 1, stock probe No-Cartographer setup. This shows everything that will be installed in the order it will be installed in. Type Y, enter. The install has started, and now we wait. We have successfully installed the stock probe No-Cartographer path. We will now move on to the next video, which will be a fluid walkthrough. Press enter to continue. We can go back into number 1 here, and it shows everything is installed. So we are going to say no, 0 back, and we're at the main menu. And now at the top it says stock probe No-Cartographer. We're now going to do a quick video to familiarize ourselves with Fluid. So to get to Fluid, open a browser. I'm using Chrome. Type in the IP address of your printer. And then after the IP address, add :4408. This logs you into Fluid. So this is Fluid's home screen. Over on the left, you have navigation buttons. You have the console, G-code preview, jobs, history, tune, that's where we can look at bed meshes or run a bed mesh. Configuration is where all your configuration files are, printer.config, and then some ones we added with a No-Carto install. And then system. So the first main part is this area right here. We have printer movement, we have home all, home XY, home Z, home X, home Y. Once it's homed, you can jog in these increments. Current position of the printer's not homed right now. Everything's zeros, it doesn't know where it's at. You can actually extrude material out of the print head. You can choose the length and the speed, and you can adjust your Z offset down here. Up here you can actually set the temperatures for your extruder, your bed, your chamber. This is a small version of the console. As we scroll down on the screen, the other important part here is the macro area. So these are all macros that when you click you can run. Use a few of them when doing the cartographer install. I have the R3 man bed, so I use bed PID when I install that. Tools, so we've installed screws tilt calculate with the No-Carto install, and then you have Z tilt adjust, which levels the bed side to side. This is the full console. You can see what's going on with the printer. You can also send commands to the printer on the command line. The tune, this is where you can do a bed mesh. It'll tell you all the saved bed meshes up in here once we have them. You can home the printer, calibrate will run a bed mesh, and we'll go through that later. Configuration, so printer.config. All your bed meshes and anything that gets changed like PIDs all get saved down here. You don't want to manually change this. This will get changed when you do a save config. Under custom here, we've added CFG files. The main one we'll look at is overrides. So probe count 19 by 19, that's what I use when I'm doing the No-Cartographer. It takes a little while to do a bed mesh at 19 by 19, but with the way they're saved and reused, the additional accuracy, I believe, helps for a good first layer. Individual Z offsets for different materials are saved here. Variable bed mesh soak 5 minutes. So if it's going to run a new bed mesh, it'll heat soak the printer for 5 minutes before it starts the mesh. Variable Carto touch calibrate start is used in the cartographer setup, and then this is remarked out during the No-Cartographer setup. So that's about all there is to Fluid, and as we're going through and setting up, we'll get into Fluid more and you'll see exactly what it can do. Before we get to printing and running the machine, I need to set up the R3 man bed and make a couple checks in Fluid to make sure we're ready. So to install the R3 man bed, I'm going to go back to the menus in the SSH terminal. MobaXterm, go to recent sessions. Change directories. And run sh menu.sh. We are going to go to optional extras, number 4. And I'm going to choose number 1, R3 man bed. Y for yes, and enter. Enter to continue. 0 for back. And I'm going to choose number 1 for status and diagnostics. And it shows installed. So now we will exit out of here. I'm now going to enter Fluid. I have a shortcut here. To get to Fluid, it's your IP address for your printer, :4408. I'm going to go to the configuration, go to printer.cfg. I'm going to press Control F, which brings up the find. I will type in R3 men and it will bring up the area where R3 men was changed. So it added in the thermistor profile for the R3 men bed. It changed the sensor type from the stock thermistor to the R3 men bed that we specified up above. One other thing it does is it inserts max power 0.8, which is 80% limited. R3 men recommends that if you're running on 110 power. I've actually checked mine and it doesn't require me to run at 80%, so I am going to put a hashtag in front of it. It turns green, which means it's remarked out. So after doing that, I'm going to come up over here to the right and do a save and restart. Once the area up top here goes away, telling you that Clipper is rebooting, we're going to go to the home screen. We're going to scroll down here to the macro area, and I'm going to choose bed PID. You can see that inserted the command into the console. So that is set the bed temperature to 100 Celsius. It's running at 100% power now to heat up. It's going to heat up to 100 and then drop to 95, heat back up to 100, drop to 95. It's going to do that several times. And what it's doing, it's looking for the best values to use to heat and cool the bed to keep it at the correct temperature. It's run through its cycles of heating and cooling, and now it's done an automatic save config. So you can see the PID parameters here in the console. It's saving those to the bottom of the printer.config file. You can see here where it dropped off. This was during the reboot phase. You can see the cycles where it was putting the temperature up and down to determine the best values. Now that that's complete, we are going to check one more thing. We're going to go over here to the menu and click on configuration. We're going to go to custom, and we're going to go into overrides config. We're going to double check that our probe count is set to 19 by 19. And we'll check that variable bed mesh soak is set to 5 minutes. Since those are correct, we are just going to hit the X and exit out. And we are ready to move on to doing our initial bed mesh. We have installed the No-Cartographer option onto our printer. We have finished the final setups. And now we are going to home for the first time and do an initial bed mesh. So as you can see, I've got the extruder heated to 140 and the bed to 70. I'll be running PET-G for my first print. So I heated up the extruder to 140 and then I cleaned the nozzle. You always want to clean the nozzle while it's warm. If it's cold, you won't get all the plastic off of it. So we're going to come over here to the home all and the printer will start its home. So you want to run an initial bed mesh before you start running a print if there's not a default saved in the printer. It'll go into the mesh if needed, and it's a funky path for it to get on. So you want to make sure and run a default bed mesh. Once you have the first one created, you won't have to do it again. Every print that it does, it will run a bed mesh based on bed temperature and chamber temperature. So we have our XYZ home, go to Tools, go to Z-Tilt Adjust. The Z-Tilt Adjust will level the bed side to side. And then I always run a Home Z. Now we're going to come over to our menu bar over here and we're going to go to Tune. So it has its Z offset now. Click on Tune. So there's nothing saved right now. We've already done the home all. So now we're going to tell it to calibrate. This will take a little bit doing a 19 by 19 mesh. And we'll just wait till it completes now. It's finished creating its bed mesh. So for this first mesh, we are going to do a save as and save it as default. And then we're going to come up here to the top right and do a save config and restart. That will put the data to the bottom of printer.config. You want to make sure to do this because if you power down the machine and start it back up without doing this, you'll lose it and you'll have to do it over again. So anytime it creates a new bed mesh, you want to do a save config and restart. So when it starts doing the temperature based configurations, bed meshes, you are going to want to come to this screen every time it creates a new mesh and do a save config and restart. So this is all the data that it's going to save to the bottom of printer config for that mesh, and come down to the bottom here and click on save config and restart. Printer is going to go through a reboot, and when it comes back up, we will be ready to do our first print. We go to the console. We can see that it did the save config, and now Clipper's disconnected. It'll reconnect and reboot. It's finished rebooting. We're going to go back to the tune page, and you see default is now saved up here. In this video, we are going to walk through setting up Creality Print to pass along some additional information to the printer. There are three different things that we'll pass along. We'll pass material for using with picking the correct Z offset. We will pass along whether or not we want to use CAMP, Adaptive Purge. And the third thing is passing along which build plate you're using. So you can install an option through the menus that will allow you to incorporate the build plates into the saved bed meshes. If you're having a problem where you have say a 70-35 bed mesh saved, but it requires a different mesh based on which plate is on there, you can install that option, and then it can create meshes for each different type of plate. We will walk through that in a later video. So for creating the new printer profiles, go to Creality Print. You will come down here to your system presets and open up your K2 Plus system preset. That is chosen up here now. We'll hit the little pencil to open it up. We're going to go to Machine G Code, and that's right up at the top here. We're going to click the little pencil under Machine Start G Code. We're going to click over in the code on the right. We're going to hit Control A to select it all, and then we're going to press Delete to clear it out. The first one we're going to set up is to pass material only. We're going to go to the repository, github.com/Rcpilot33 K2-Improvements. Going to make sure we're on the main branch. We're going to go to Installer. We're going to go to Extras. We're going to go to CAMP Adaptive Purge, and we're going to go to Slicer Templates. So here are the four templates made for Creality Print. One is material only, one is material in CAMP, one is material in surface profiles, and the other is material, surface profiles, and CAMP. So we're going to do the material only to start. Click on that, and it takes you to this code. So click anywhere in the code, Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and now we're going to go back to Creality Print. We're going to click in the box, and we're going to click Control V to copy the code. So what that added in is it added this part to the first line, which is material equals filament type initial tool. That will pass which filament you are running, whether it be PLA, PETG, ABS, ASA, and that way the printer can use that to select the correct Z offset for that filament. So we're going to click OK. We're going to do a save as, and we're going to name it something that makes sense to us. K2 Plus Material Only. And you can name it anything you want. Click OK, and now that is the active printer profile. We'll just click Save, exit out of that. So that's one of the options now on my list of profiles. I have them made up. I call the material only standard. I have plate selection, I have CAMP, and then I have CAMP and plate selection. All four of these will pass the material to the printer. The other three add on the other options. So, and then I'm running the smooth PEI, which my smooth PEI is a glacier plate. So you can go ahead and create the other three using the same format that we just did. You can actually reuse this one, open it up, delete out what's in there, copy from the repository, paste it in, and then do a save as to a new name. And in the next video, we are going to move on to running our first print and setting the first Z offset. We are now ready for our first print and to set up our first Z offset, as well as do our first bed mesh with the temperature saving method, and we'll walk through all that. So I've already set my extruder to 140 and my bed to 70 to preheat everything. I'll be running PETG. You want to make sure you have the printer home before you send a print, and it doesn't look like it is, so we're going to do a home all. Now that the home all is complete, I'm going to go to Tools and run a Z-Tilt Adjust to level the bed side to side. And then I'm going to run a Home Z. So we will go into the slicer, go to Prepare. So I have the K2 Plus material only called up for the printer profile, smooth plate, which is my glacier plate. I have all the filaments mapped to the CFS, and I have my PETG profile called up. So we're going to do a one layer print just to test the first layer. We'll right click on the plate, add a testing primitive cube. With that selected, come up here to scale, and we're going to go 100 by 100. My first layer height is 0.24, so we'll set this to 0.24. You see the 0.24 layer height over here in the profile. I'm going to right click on the part, go down to change filament, make sure we have the material we want called, which is PETG. We are going to slice plate, and we'll send the print. Make sure we're on the right printer. PETG, 1A PETG. Start print. Okay. If we go into fluid here, we can watch the console, see what it's doing. It's finding its Z height. It's going to do a Z-Tilt Adjust. So now if you look down in the console here, start print, waiting for the extruder to reach 140C, which it's at. Now it's looking for a 70C 0C bed mesh. It doesn't exist, so it's going to create it, and it's going to soak for 5 minutes. This soak time was a variable I showed you in an earlier video in the override.config, which if you pre-soak your printer, you can take that time down. But the 70C 0C is 70 for your bed and 0 for your chamber heater. So it's going to use those two values to determine what the mesh is going to be called. Our 5-minute wait is over. It's now doing another Z-tilt adjust after the preheat. And we're now going to start our 19 by 19 mesh. This will take around 20 to 25 minutes. Mesh is done and loaded, and we're heating the extruder up to temperature now. If we go to tune, we can see that we have a 70C_00C bed mesh. Now that we're printing, we're going to have to end up adjusting the Z offset. We'll go to settings, expert mode, Z offset. I'm going to change it to 0.010. We'll let it start printing and see how it's doing. It's actually looking very, very good as is. So just for the sake of being able to show it, I'm going to change the offset to 0.005, and we're going to move it 0.005 away from the bed. So we'll hit down once, and you can see the offset here. If you look in fluid, it is also showing the same 0.005 in fluid. Now on the screen I hit the down arrow, and that moved it a positive 0.005. In fluid, if I hit the down arrow, it actually moves it a negative 0.005. So the buttons in fluid are opposite of what they are on the screen. And fluid was developed before there was the Core XY printer. So these arrows were actually moving the nozzle up and down, not the bed up and down, which is why they seem backwards. We'll go ahead and put the positive 0.005 back in. Now that the print is finishing up, remember the Z offset off of the screen, the 0.005, because when the print finishes, it will be zeroed out in the software. So you have to remember what it is. Print completed. As you can see, the Z offset was zeroed out. Now as that's cooling down, we're going to come back into Fluid here. And the first thing we're going to do is go to Tune. And we are going to save config and restart to save that bed mesh to the bottom of printer config. Anytime it runs a new bed mesh like it did on this print, we have to go through this step or we'll lose it. So there's the information it's going to save. Save config and restart. Well, that's restarting and the nozzle is still hot. I'm going to clean any plastic off the nozzle. Okay, we're back up. We're going to go to Configuration, Printer.config, scroll all the way to the bottom. So here's our bed mesh default that's saved. And here's our new mesh, bed mesh 70C0C. So now we have that saved and it can be recalled anytime we run a print that uses 70 and 0. We will back out of here. Now we're going to go to Custom. We're going to go to Overrides.config. We just ran PETG. So we changed the offset 0.005. And it was a positive number, so make that change in here, and the next time we run a PETG print, it will pull in this offset. So on this one, go over here and do a save and restart. Do not do the offset and overrides config before you save the bed mesh, or you will lose the bed mesh. Always save the bed mesh first. Now while it's doing that, we will remove the print. And I don't know how well this will show up on camera, but overall that's pretty good looking first layer. So now just for comparison, we'll run a second print. And because we did a restart, we're going to home all. We've already cleaned the nozzle. Everything's home, so now we're going to do a Z-tilt adjust. Home Z. Go back to Creality Print, Preview, and we're just going to send the same file back over. Correct printer, correct material, start print. Now while it's starting, we're going to go back to Fluid. So that's where it waited 5 minutes to soak last time before it did a bed mesh, but if you look down here in the console, you can see that it found the mesh it was looking for, so it's going to go right into printing. While we're waiting for the extruder to heat up, see if we can find it. Okay, so right here it sent the material, pet G, and now it called the Z offset 0.005 that we put in overrides config up. And if we look back in fluid, there's our 0.005 offset. So once you have a bed mesh set at a certain temperature, when you rerun prints that use those temperatures, it will not bed mesh every time. If something happens and the bed mesh seems to be off, you can always go back into tune here, and you could hit the delete button over here and then do a save config. It will delete it out, and the next time you run that temperature combination, it will redo the mesh. Looking down in there, that print is looking pretty good. That print is now finished. So we have our bed mesh saved from the previous print, and we have our Z offset saved from the previous print, so we don't have to make any changes. Take a quick look at this print. So a few strings on it, but overall looking like a pretty good first layer. This completes this video. In the next video, I will walk through the camp and plate bed mesh options.